production of healthy, ready-for-slaughter finishers from small piglets requires good genetic material, a wealth of experience, good management, and a first-class feeding system. The composition of the feed and correct metering are crucial factors for completing a finishing cycle successfully. For units of 400 finishing places upwards, liquid feeding is already profitable. Especially if low-priced byproducts from the food industry are used, or if fresh individual components are added to the mix from an on-farm mill and mix operation. In this situation, Big Dutchman's computer-controlled HYDROMIX liquid feeding system is absolutely ideal. No matter what basic feed components are used, the crucial requirement is for a homogeneous feed mix, distributed to all valves reliably and precisely at the desired feeding times. A modern liquid feeding system should therefore consist of the mixing tank, the electronic weighing unit, the feed pump, the separator for foreign matter, the compressor, the pipelines and valves, and the core of the system, computer control. Requirements differ widely from one farm to another. Therefore, individual parts of the system apply to different versions. A mixing tank, for instance, can be made of stainless steel or of acid-resistant, glass fiber reinforced plastic. Depending on the size of the system, the tanks can vary in capacity from 2,000 to 12,000 litres. They're equipped with a tank cover, an agitator, and a mixing tank rinsing system as standard features. There are also alternatives for the feed pump. Depending on the length of pipeline and the feed consistency, either centrifugal pumps or spiral pumps with different conveying capacities are used. Depending on its type, the mixing tank is equipped with an electronic 1-point, 3-point, or 4-point weighing system. Weigh bars are installed underneath the legs of the mixing tank. They register changes in weight when metering individual components, when distributing a pre-prepared mix, and they transfer the respective data to the computer. The feed pump presses the pumpable liquid feed through the plastic pipes to the valves. These pneumatically activated diaphragm valves ensure precision metering and offer very flexible installation possibilities. Liquid feeding is also being increasingly used in sow management. Here, the pregnant sows receive an additional water ration, which may become necessary on hot summer days. Liquid feeding is also the ideal system in the farrowing house. Each sow receives exactly the amount of feed to suit her own requirements. To achieve precision metering, a frequency converter automatically controls the conveying capacity of the system. The core of each HYDROMIX system is the Big Dutchman MC99 feeding computer. It controls and checks the entire unit, registers all feed consumption data, evaluates them, and registers and indicates any problem. To put it simply, it's the ideal feed manager. Typical of Big Dutchman solutions, it's a complete unit ready for connection. We like to adopt a rational approach. So instead of several different computers, we only use the MC99. We satisfy market requirements with different software programs, in different languages as required, of course. How does this work in practice? Here, a customer is programming a feed mix. Priorities may be the protein or energy content, or even costs. These commands are carried out precisely by the computer. It requests the various components one after another, in this case whey, then freshly ground grains, and then a supplementary feed. The agitator stirs all components thoroughly to a homogeneous pumpable mash. Then the feed line is rinsed and feed is distributed valve by valve. Monitoring the animals is the key to successful finishing of pigs. An inspection tour of the house will reveal whether all animals are healthy and taking their feed. Necessary changes can be made during the inspection by using the hand terminal. This electronic notebook is much more simple, exact and reliable than any piece of paper. After completing the tour of inspection, the hand terminal is simply plugged into the charging station. All data are automatically transmitted to the MC99. You can see how simple it is. Today, every pig farmer also has to be a businessman. But this is no longer possible without accurate data acquisition and evaluation. The transfer from MC99 to PC is no problem. Not even remote data transmission via telephone and modem. All data are available and can be analyzed by additional evaluation programs. This provides an opportunity of comparing precisely all finishing cycles. Hygiene, far more than just a slogan. After feeding, the system is cleaned completely. We call this residue-free feeding with pipe rinsing. This means that the entire feed ration is distributed without residue at every meal. When feeding is complete, the feed pump presses fresh water into the entire pipeline. All valves open briefly one after the other, and the valves and drop tubes are cleaned with fresh water. The cleaning water is then conveyed into the rinse water tank. At the next feed mixing, it's reused as one of the liquid components of the feed. Thus, only fresh water remains in the pipelines between feeds. This prevents any increase in the incidence of fungi and germs. Finally, the rinse water tank and mixing tank are also cleaned with fresh water. Spreader discs, which are operated by high-pressure water, increase the cleaning effect. During cleaning, the meal supply line is closed off. Feed augers thus stay dry. A transparent tube at the beginning and at the end of each circuit enables visual control of the feed stream. In any event, an investment in a pipe rinsing system is sure to pay off. It can also be backfitted to any liquid feeding system. The result: improved feed conversion, higher daily weight gains, a greater number of healthy pigs. Production conditions such as feed composition and practical requirements differ from one farm to the next and from one country to another. Therefore, we do not supply systems off the peg. Big Dutchman offers their customers different HYDROMIX systems to meet the respective requirements.
Also unser Betrieb hat hier eine Größenordnung von etwa 1300 Sauen.
Our farm here has about 1,300 sows with their own rearing and finishing areas.
Wir haben uns für eine Flüssigfütterung entschieden.
We decided in favor of a liquid feeding system, since we have to feed large numbers of animals and also different types of pigs. This means we have sows in the waiting and in the suckling areas, and we also have to feed finishing pigs.
Man kann bei dieser computergesteuerten Flüssigfütterung jedes Tier entsprechend seinen Bedürfnissen.
With this computer-controlled liquid feeding system, we can feed each animal according to its needs, largely automated. But we also have the opportunity to modify the procedure and to individually adapt the feed quantity later with supplements or reductions. HYDROMIX Synchrone works with a computer which mixes and distributes at the same time, that is, synchronously. The recipe prepared in the mixing tank is transported to the feeding tank. While feed is metered out from the feeding tank, the next ration begins simultaneously in the mixing tank. With the Synchrone liquid feeding system, large numbers of animals can be fed with many different rations.
Wir haben uns für eine Synchronfütterung entschieden, Zeitverluste bei der Futteranmischung und Ausdosierung.
We decided on a synchrone feeding system to minimize loss of time during feed mixing and metering in our decentralized finishing unit. Synchrone feeding, this has to be considered in conjunction with a sensor feeding system, since we have a large number of feedings per day. At the moment, we are feeding approximately 10 times, have different rations according to the age of the animals, and we need fast and precise feed distribution, which is ensured by this system. HYDROMIX Compact controls 2 small tanks with 1 computer. Why compact? Because the system fits easily into every feed preparation area. Both tanks are used as mixing and feeding tanks. The entire feed quantity is divided into several rations. While feed is being mixed in one tank, the second tank content is metered out. With this system as well, there are no waiting times between the individual feed distributions. We selected a HYDROMIX Compact system since we have very short waiting times. We are feeding 3 different mix types, 1 pre-finishing mix, 1 final finishing mix, and 1 gilt mix. And with such small quantities, it makes more sense to use such a feeding system. We have to spend less time in the house, and we can devote more time to other tasks. For us, this is a major advantage. HYDROMIX Sensor is an ad libitum liquid feeding system. With this system, the feed quantity is controlled by the pig's own eating behavior. The feed consumption is more efficient. At regular intervals, the MC99 checks all troughs. Sensors assembled close to the trough bottom identify all empty troughs. Following this, the exact amount of feed is mixed to fill these troughs. The most important advantages of sensor feeding include increased quiet in the house, better utilization of the floor area by a ratio of feeding places of 1:5, smaller mixing tank, saving on investment costs, greater flexibility in pen design in the case of refurbishments and new houses.
Ja, zweites wichtiges Argument ist für mich, durch den kurzen Trog habe ich
Another very important argument for me is that I save nearly 10% space in the pen with the short trough. With a house of 700 pigs, this means about 60 places, which I practically get for free. 60 places with an investment volume of 800 to 1,000 German marks means 50,000 marks. For 50,000 German marks, I get the feeding system for free. That was a very important argument for me. Due to the many feeding times, of course, I need a much smaller tank, and that means a saving in space. Cleanliness, too. It's easier to keep a small tank clean, resulting in smaller investment volume. These are the arguments. Study all the information before making your investment. If you follow this recommendation, you'll have a feeding system tailor-made to the needs of your particular unit. Our experts will advise you in detail. Benefit from the experience we have gained from numerous projects worldwide, from Norway to New Zealand, from Canada to Japan. HYDROMIX, the feeding system designed for the future. Your reliable partner, Big Dutchman.